Welcome to SaaS Reality, a podcast where two budding founders talk about their businesses. Join Simon and Dean to find out what it really takes to build, launch, and run a SaaS product. Morning, Dean.
Morning, Simon. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Been a busy week, but good.
Busy week. Cool. I guess continuing our format from last week, what would you like to talk about? It's like a therapy session.
Yeah, taking funding.
Funding? Oh.
Yeah, competition.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty much really all I've got on my radar.
I'd like to talk about competition as well. It's starting to affect my mental mood.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up, to be honest.
Oh, dear. Myself, I just got more sort of Snapshooter updates.
Yeah, well, there's Cloud Periscope update as well.
Okay. Let's start off with funding then. What are you doing? What are you... Bootstrapping podcast? Kind of.
Well, you know, Y Combinator have been running Startup School for the last 10 weeks.
Yeah, I've been really bad with keeping up with it, but yeah.
And part of that is you have a weekly group session. So it's a video call on a Thursday night, 3 to 4 founders. Some people have had up to 8, which must be a nightmare. I've had one where there's only 2 of us, which was quite good. And if you go through these group sessions, you're then in line for a $15,000 grant.
Mm-hmm.
No strings attached. But to qualify for that, you have to apply for Y Combinator.
Okay.
Which is VC funding, basically, isn't it? So, well, seed funding.
Yeah.
So I've done it.
Have you? The deadline was yesterday, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I mean, you can still apply late for the next couple of weeks.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I started filling out the form thinking, this is just so I've applied and might be in with a chance of getting the 15K grant. As I'm going through filling it in, I'm thinking, you know what? $150,000 could make quite a difference. It could mean going full-time straight away.
Is that what the seed funding is now?
Yeah.
I thought it was way less than that.
Used to be, but yeah, they crept up to 150,000.
Crazy. Does it not mean moving to the Valley for a little bit?
Yes, it does. January to March.
Oh, okay. So 3 months. It's an easier sort of pill to swallow.
So yeah, so the way Y Combinator works is you apply, they assess your idea along with the thousands and thousands of others. I think there's like 42,000 companies in Startup School at the moment. So,
oh, okay. I don't know how many of them would apply though.
No, but you got to think a good percentage will.
So, do they filter people at this stage then, and then go to an interview stage?
Yes, they will assess all the applications. Mm-hmm. They will shortlist and then invite people over to their office in the States at the end of October.
What's the eligibility on this grant then? I guess that's what you're really shooting for, right? Or are you actually kind of hopeful about the...
Well, this is the thing, you see. Yes, I was completely just like 15K. Yeah, that'll do me nicely. That's a nice bit of cash behind me that can cover domain names. I don't need hosting costs because I've got all the AWS credits from doing Startup School. I'm also in touch with my Amazon account managers. I've got one for the company and one because I've joined the partner network. So I'm in line to get proof of concept credits from there as well. So all that's covered. But just incidentals, yeah, 15K would go a long way.
Oh, absolutely.
So 150K would go even further, of course.
It would, yeah.
So we'll know by mid-October.
Oh, interesting.
Whether I'm going to get an invite. And then sometime late October, November, December, they get people over for an interview and make a decision. And then you have to move to Silicon Valley if you're selected. So through January, March.
And spend the whole of your 150K on accommodation.
Yeah, probably.
Or do they put you up?
Yeah, well, you don't have to be in there because you don't work from their offices or anything. So
no.
You can live out in the burbs and then just commute in for the Tuesday dinners and the meetings and stuff.
Oh, cool.
So I was filling out the application because I want this 15K or I'd like a chance at the 15K.
Yeah. Do you know what their selecting criteria is for that then?
Yeah, they basically assess the chances of you making money, scaling. Yeah, just whether you're a viable business that can scale is the crux of it, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it just occurred to me while I was filling the application form out in the hopes of getting the 15K that maybe, just maybe, 150K for 7% might be worth it.
Oh, yeah. I forgot you have to give equity away.
Yeah. Because each of the 10 weeks you have to give an update, don't you, in Startup School?
Yes.
And one of the questions is biggest obstacle. And every single week I've put time. And it is. Time is my biggest obstacle because of everything else going on.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So
it's my biggest obstacle too.
How do you feel about funding? Would you have gone for it or you're purely against it, up for bootstrapping?
I'm not against it, but for example, like the YC funding model just would not work with my family at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like I couldn't just bugger off for... I don't think I could easily go away for the weekend now with the wife so heavily pregnant.
Oh, of course, yes. You've got baby Bennett number 2.
Yeah. So, yeah, I didn't think it would be the right time. Probably looking at another like 4 years before I could even consider something like that. But then again, moving away for 3 months, that's an absolute no.
Yeah, well, I spoke to my wife about that and said, you would have to give up work because we've got dogs. Well, they're our kids, I would go off.
Did you say dogs?
Yes, we've got 2.
You got another one?
Yes, we've always had 2. We lost one at the end of the year, just before New Year.
Oh, so you got a puppy, but you still had a dog?
Yeah.
Or did you just get 2 puppies?
No, we had 2 dogs. We lost one
just
before New Year. So we've had one for the last few months this year, most of this year. And he's just missing company. So, a couple of weeks ago, we got a new one, a puppy.
I thought you were really crazy to get 2 puppies. That would be...
No, we've got an 8-year-old, a 1-year-old
It's not a
puppy.
good idea, is it, getting 2 puppies? They become like attached to each other, don't they? And not you. Anyway.
He's driving me nuts at the moment.
Dear.
But anyway, spoke to my wife and she says, yeah, go for it. I want to give up work.
Well, let's hope her employer doesn't listen to this podcast.
3 months in California, though. We'll get the doggy passports and we'll all come with you.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, but there's also Tiny Seed going to start opening up for applications 1st of November as well.
Yeah, so I've been talking to someone about Tiny Seed because I noticed that, I don't think you probably mind, the guy who runs Branch CI, and his name is just eluding me at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
They were in a batch of Tiny Seed. And I listened to their podcast, which is Alto Beta, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Peter, I don't know how you pronounce his second name. S-U Shum, that's the one. I noticed his email in a Slack notification about Stripe. So I messaged him saying, I just noticed you're a subscriber of Snapshooter. Absolutely love the podcast, blah, blah, blah. And I've just been talking to him about like funny stuff. And he's like, well, you should have a look at, he hinted, you should have a look at Tiny Seed. I was curious.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, you can make an introduction there. I wouldn't mind having a chat to him, actually.
Well, yeah, feel free.
Yeah, so I'm seriously thinking that something needs to change because it's dragging on. I'm not getting as far forward as I want. But there again, I have been splitting my time between product and doing these AWS certifications, which has kind of been needed anyway, because I need to know AWS inside out.
Yes, yeah.
But the last exam that's scheduled is this Saturday. I thought it was last weekend, but it isn't. It's this weekend. So I've had an extra week to study. Then after that, I'm going to leave it until New Year before I do any more. So it gives me a good period to focus on product.
Yeah.
But would you consider Tiny Seed?
Possibly. I think you have to become a C Corp in America, don't you? So I'd have to go through that challenge. But yeah, I don't see why not. I don't really know the parameters of their funding and whatnot and their program. And if it could open the doors to basically going full time on this, that'd be great.
Mm.
I always worry about like the risk factor of Snapshooter and digitalization and vendor lock-in and all that stuff. Like, am I actually a good candidate for this?
Yeah, but you also have Automaily.
It's true. I don't think I'd go with that one at the moment. I'm not.
That's because it's not making you any money, really, is it?
No, I'm just not motivated by the moment. I think with this mysterious partner integration with Snapshooter, I'm kind of just putting all my focus into there. And like, if anything comes up on Automaily, I'm kind of rolling my eyes at the moment.
Yeah, well, that's kind of right to switch the focus back to where the opportunity is, definitely.
Yeah. But I think the thing is, if I could increase income on Snapshooter, I would then no longer be dependent on consulting. And then I could then invest that time back into Snapshooter and Automaily.
Mm.
I could probably do all of Snapshooter's work with like a couple of days dev a week and just support every day. And then that would free up 3 days a week to do whatever. Play golf.
I think something like Tiny Seed would be great for you, actually, for Automaily, because I think the access to the mentors and the people that have been there would be a huge help. And
I just feel like I haven't found the market fit at all.
Yeah. And I think having access to people that have been through that once, twice or more, it's also brings up the point of being a solo founder as well, which is really frustrating because your time is just so linear. There's nothing happening in parallel. And I relate this to end of August when I was quite ill for a couple of weeks. I should have got this last exam out the way then, but I was too ill, so I had to reschedule it, which has had a knock-on effect to everything else. And here we are a month later, and I'm back to where I was in August, really. Not that much further forward. Whereas if there'd been 2-3 of me working on this, at least something would have continued forward. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying I want co-founders. I really don't want co-founders at this stage, but I do want to be able to try and get other people on board, or at least be able to farm work out to people.
Yeah. I thought about co-founders and stuff in the past, and I wouldn't want to do it until I was in a position where I could do it full time, because otherwise I just don't feel like it's like I'm being fair to the product or the other founder. If it's like, well, this week I got 0 hours in.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly where I am in terms of co-founder as well.
Not because I was ill, but just because of like circumstances and etc. So yeah, I don't feel I could always guarantee to be like a 50% effort into the product anyway.
Yeah. And that's the biggest downside of being solo, isn't it? Is that when life happens, everything stops.
Yeah.
There isn't that parallel track to carry on. There isn't person number 2, 3 or 4 to continue with things. So, yeah, it's just my thoughts from originally starting out looking for a bootstrapping business to what it is now. I was like rigidly, no, solo founder, just me, don't want staff. It's completely changed now. Although I don't want co-founders, I want to get full-time. And I know I need to bring other people in, whether that's freelancers for just doing a design refresh, or a programmer just to build a new feature for me because I'm stacked with doing sales and customer support. I just realized that that has got to be the way. And really, to get any kind of traction, you've got to do that really. Unless you're just one of those really lucky viral products that just sells itself. But
a unicorn.
Yeah, well, not a unicorn. They're just rocking horse poo, aren't they?
Yeah.
Really rare. You'd be lucky if you can find one. So sorry about the reference there.
That's all right.
That's the first thing that came to mind.
I'm wondering if everyone will get it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about competition then.
Yeah. So I'm entering a market with £800 gorillas.
Yes.
That's fine. I think I've got my positioning right to aim at the smaller companies, over 100 employees to 1,000 employees, sort of that range.
Mm-hmm.
Not worried about that, but it's not really competition for me that I wanted to discuss. It's
myself.
Snapshot competition. Yeah, preempted it and got it in before you mentioned it yourself. So, yeah, so you've had some thoughts around competition.
So a few months ago, I realized someone had started probably about a 90% copy functionally as what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And for being in the market for 2 years previously there was already somebody in the market. They started about a month after me doing something similar, but not exactly the same. They sort of chased a different route and not focused on digitalization. I've always stuck as digitalization until I had that little spat with AWS, but that didn't work out. But I've always stuck with digitalization. It's always been the main focus. So I've always had, I'd say, the market to myself, and a very small market, to be said. However, I think it's 2 people actually. I started a competitor to myself. And I can't help but think the last 3 months, monthly recurring revenue has not been growing as much as previously. I'm just wondering whether if it's that's affecting it, if it's something else. I don't know. It's weird. If you enter the market with a lot of competition, I'm not going to get upset if someone else joins. If you carved a product into a really tight niche,
mm-hmm.
and then someone also tries to go into that really tight niche, end up with problems. So
yeah, with your revenue, well, it's not flatlined, but there's a marked difference over the last 3 months. Is that just a seasonal thing? Is that?
I don't know. The last 2 years I've had August has not been great.
Okay.
But this year seems to have been a little longer. It's kind of like a month either side as well. So I don't know.
Okay.
It's just playing on my mind. I talked to somebody else who said the phrase is whatever. It's don't sweat the competition, let the competition sweat you.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to adopt that mental model. I'm just not sweating the competition. I've just got this big partner integration, which I hope they're not doing. And I've been adding features. I've changed the way the notifications work. So yeah, I think much improved. So that was going to basically be my update this week, is I've just totally rewritten the way notifications work far better now, and now adding in more channels as options for where you want failures and successes to, if you want successes to go through to Slack or Telegram or whatever you fancy. Yeah.
So there's a couple of things here. How are you feeling? Do you think this is down to the fact that...
I think it's probably down to more how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
There's no way for me to know how they're doing. They could be just doing poorly, and they could be how I was 2 years ago with just like scraping a subscription a month.
Yeah, but you're feeling this because you're seeing them advertise and they're popping up here, there and everywhere.
They did run a spat of advertising, but seem to have stopped now. But yeah.
And is that what has caused this small bit of anxiety?
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah.
Is there anything in the fact that you might have just let SnapShooter coast for a bit because you were building Automaily and you haven't put the time into the marketing?
That's true. It could have coasted a little bit too long, yeah.
Because like you say, you've pretty much got that niche sewn up.
Mm-hmm.
You were the only real player there. So you haven't had to fight for your presence to be seen. People kind of sort you out. And how are you doing in the search engines against them?
Oh, just crushing. Haven't moved. So I'm still in the top sort of search results when you search DigitalOcean backups, and
right, okay.
They're potentially page 2/3. So not really effect there.
Yeah.
I guess it's a case of just trying to keep where I am and keep trying to work on the content side, I guess. I haven't done any content marketing for a long time.
Should be doing 50% marketing, mate, at least.
Thanks. Well, I'll get these features out. I think the notifications is the next thing I want to work on. And then I have one area where I'd like to get feature parity, potentially. I'm just asking people at the moment, is database backups.
Mm-hmm.
It's a feature I don't have because I personally don't really see the value in doing it this way, but I'm just trying to collect some feedback from users at the moment.
Yeah, if you snapshot in the server that it's on anyway.
Well, yeah, so that's the...
But I suppose you could do database backups hourly and daily snapshots or something. Yeah, so that might be worth looking into. I know there's a lot of moving parts in that. So
yeah, there is, yeah. The other thing people want is the ability to download snapshots. It's always been a question. And I've always come back and said, it's not possible. I've even talked to DigitalOcean. It's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
They snapshot the server with like some proprietary-based snapshotting software and encrypt it with their master key and whatnot. They're not giving that to you.
Mm.
Even if you had the file, you can't do anything with it.
So, I mean, you could dig into that a bit deeper. It's like, is it really the snapshots that they want, or is it the files they've uploaded and the data they've got on the server that they want to be able to download?
It's probably that, yeah. I got some other feature ideas as well. So
yeah, so if you're doing the database backup, that's probably the foundational work for backing up their website or data or whatever they've got on that server as well.
Yeah, I'm just trying to collect some feedback. So I'm trying to get some people who are interested in database backups, and then I want to basically ask them how they want to do it. Do they want to be backing up to their own S3? Do they just want to be backing up to another DigitalOcean, like DigitalOcean's S3? Do they want to be completely off-site? Do they want to be able to download it? Probably.
Mm.
And then potentially, yeah, looking at more file stuff. The issue I've always had is that's like kind of a different product. If you're supporting files, you're supporting any server in any data center.
Yeah.
I mean, I could restrict it so it's not and just become... I built this product before.
Yeah, I was about to say, it sounds very familiar and like a product that you were working on before Automaily.
Yeah, which I may continue in the future.
Yeah, I think you would be right to roll it into SnapShooter just as a cut down functionality rather than that full blown product that you were thinking of.
Yeah, it might work better anyway.
Because as you've seen with Automaily, splitting yourself between the two products is tough.
Yeah.
So if you had another one in there, it's going to get worse. So.
And then the other feature idea that I might as well reveal on here is I have an ability to replicate snapshots across regions, which is like a more premium feature. And people do like that. I should put that in my calculations for calculating the sum of backups, actually.
Mm-hmm.
That would make sense. Anyway, but one thing people, not constantly, but occasionally ask me is replicating servers. So they like want a standby server that's basically a clone of their production server somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
I've always thought in my mind that sounds like a terrible idea. Because if you've got cron and all sorts of stuff running and like a mail server, or, you know, there are scenarios where that would just be, you'd have to be very careful with how you set up a server to make sure you're not running two identical servers in instant, like the way that these people do.
Yeah, that's their problem though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
And as long as you make people aware of it.
Yeah, they just want like possibly another server in a different region or maybe the same region with exactly the same.
Yeah. Does SnapShooter allow you to do a restore of your snapshot?
No. That's through choice, not through limitations.
Okay.
Through choice, I tell people to go to DigitalOcean and select the backup they want to restore. It was mainly, I considered it to be like a security issue at the time, because if you take another snapshot of someone's server, you're not erasing data, where if you were to do a snapshot restore, you are effectively erasing data. So I basically just tell them how to do it in DigitalOcean.
Okay.
Maybe I could just force like two-factor auth or something if you want to do that.
Yeah, how sticky is SnapShooter? Do people actually log in, or do they just see the emails to say they've had a backup done and they're happy?
I asked myself this the other day, actually, because I'm trying to do a survey to work out what people want in terms of database backups. So I've added using Hotjar, a little survey. So far today, we've had 7 users log in, and then I have a column in the database for storing this. So 7 today, yesterday, 15. So yeah, there are people who are logging in every day.
Just wondered if it was a single push button restore from the line of a listed snapshot.
It's not really a high feature ask.
Right, okay.
I think the people who have restored know, and occasionally, maybe once every 2 months, I get someone asking just how you do it, and I just explain. They go, oh, perfect, and off they go.
Yeah. And the file backup and download, I think that is more making people feel safe rather than actually being a useful feature.
It's probably more useful, as you say, just to... Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
But that kind of feature could be more of a sales thing than an actual useful part of SnapShooter. So it's like, well, do you invest the dev time to build that, even if it's really not that useful, but it makes a psychological difference with people putting their card number in?
Yeah, it'd also open a marketing channel, wouldn't it? You could then say you actually support this.
Yeah.
I guess it would be a case of deciding how exactly to do this, because there's few options, isn't there? From a development point of view, do I put an agent on their server? Do I SSH in and pull stuff off? Where do I pull it off to? Do I SSH into their server and get them to push it to somewhere? Like, there's so many different options, each with trade-offs, and I'm doing a multi-solution.
No.
For example, with MySQL, I think the best way now would be to have it so you enable remote connections to your SQL server, because that way I can back up your managed DigitalOcean MySQL servers. Or perhaps that's not really a thing that you need to do, because they do daily backups.
Yeah. I don't like remote access to MySQL. It's such a big security hole.
So would you rather I SSH into your server and run MySQL dump?
Me as a techie, yes, because I could set up a user that would allow you to do that. If you sort of got someone to run a script on the server which set up an individual user that only had access to do that, that would be a thing, rather than giving the keys to the kingdom away and letting your SSH session have full reign over the server.
Yes.
You just need it very limited to just being able to back up.
I need to research how to do that, really, because it's not really something I need to consider at work, not having open access.
And just get the zip file downloaded. I wouldn't worry about putting it into S3 or DO block storage or anything.
I mean, I've got to store it somewhere.
Yeah.
Where do I store it?
Well, I would say you would store it temporarily until they've downloaded it.
Oh, okay. No, I'd still need to archive it.
I wouldn't say so. That's the whole point. They want it locally. They don't want it somewhere else.
Just go for this. They want the option to be able to pull it down locally.
Yeah. Okay.
This is why I probably need to talk to more people and get more feedback. But
yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Want the database archived.
Yes.
Just like want their server snapshotted.
Yeah.
But they also want to be able to click a link and download that database archive.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure. Heavy. Quickly, you got to tell us about Cloud Periscope, because we're really running out of time.
Yeah, not much to say really. Spent a lot of time doing the YC application. Been working on the marketing site again. Still getting my head around Jigsaw, which is pretty nice as a static site generator. And still working on the CloudFormation script. So it's a one-click install to allow me read access to your account without you having to go through all sorts of stuff in the console and give me access.
Yeah.
So it's just a quick one-click, quick start. Yeah. So not very far on that, really. Just moved along a little bit. And that's it, really.
Yeah. What are you going to do this week?
This week, I'm going to get this exam out of the way on Saturday, hopefully pass it, and then really knuckle down and get the cross-account role stuff working, this CloudFormation stuff.
Okay.
So the full MVP is working where people can sign in, and I scan the infrastructure, and then they can just see a really rough table of what's been found, and then I'll start working on all the check.
That's the one thing I'm going to hold you to account next week for.
Okay.
When do you find out your results from the AWS exam?
On the day.
Ah, cool. Well, we'll hold you to account for that as well.
Okay. If I fail this one, I've got to announce it.
If you failed this one, your car broke down on the way to the exam and you didn't go.
Yeah, the train was late. There were leaves on the track.
Yeah. It's the right season. All right. Well, thanks, Dean. Thanks for listening to the SaaS Reality podcast. Why not head over to saasreality.com and become part of our Slack community? You can send questions to podcast@saasreality.com. And as always, please leave a rating and review. Thanks for listening. Cheers, Dean.
Speak next week. Bye.
Bye.